Hey guys! This is just gonna be my final check-in for the readathon crazy week. So my grand total for this week was 5 completed books and I have 2 books started. All in all, not as far as I wanted to get, but I was like very close. Like the last 2 books I probably can read in one sitting, but it is somewhat late and I just don't think that I'm gonna like make the effort tonight. I know that sounds terrible, but I got stuff to do. You know, life is getting in the way. But these are the completed, oh god, the completed books that I have. And I also started the Butterfly Garden. I know that wasn't on my TBR at all, but this was just gonna be my extra book just because I heard that this was a very good one-sitting read. So I started this in attempts to be able to like finish it, but it's a little too late for that now, and I started Paper Princess. Again, a very easy one-sitting read. So unfortunately, both of these are probably going to be finished like tomorrow, which won't count for the readathon, which kind of blows. But 5 books and then some is still not too bad for a week in which I still worked about like 55 to 60 hours. Oi. So this is where I'm standing on books completed versus books that I planned on reading, and then as far as challenges go, I don't think this is too bad. Out of 14 challenges, having 9 completed is not bad, and 5 books read in 7 days is still not bad. So the first book that I read was The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, and I think this was so stinking cute. This was a perfect summer contemporary read. It was just really easy to sit down and get into in one day. I think that it was an amazing representation of diversity in YA without it being in your face. Like, it's not advertised as being LGBTQ+, or it's not advertised as having like I don't want to say problematic main characters, but main characters who are dealing with normal teenage angst and anxiety and stuff, but it was just so stinking cute. The main characters were so real and believable. I just adored this. I gave this 4 stars. I highly recommend her writing because it's very easy to read, but it's like really wholesome. Like, I feel like I came away with such a good experience having read about so many diverse characters, about race and sexuality and gender orientation and just everything in general without it being forced on you. They just happen to be there, like the real world is. So, highly recommend this. And then I immediately switched up my TBR and read Our Dark Duet, and okay, I have mixed feelings about this. This I used for my throwback challenge for the biannual Bibliothon, mainly so that I could finish a series. That was the actual challenge, was to finish a series that he had already started. And while I love this world, I love reading about it, I feel like it kind of petered out. I feel like this was one of those stories where she came up with a really awesome concept, but didn't actually have a full plot or story to follow through with, so she just kind of like pieced things together. That's what it felt like to me. I still loved it. I still adored where both of our protagonists went because they pretty much switched positions. Like, the human kind of became a monster and the monster kind of became a human, but it just kind of didn't have the impact that the first one did for me. The first one was just like so like jaw-dropping. I don't know why. It was just such a cool reading experience. This one, still really good, but I gave it 3 stars. It was not as amazing as I wanted it to be. Also, it's done, so that makes me sad. Then I read Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This book was so good. It's so short and perfect, and I just adored it. This pretty much follows children after they fall through the rabbit hole. Like, after a kid goes into Narnia or goes into this mystical, magical world, it's about them getting kicked out and having to deal with the real mortal world again. And it's pretty much they can go to this, like, it's not an orphanage, but it's kind of like a halfway house for kids who need to figure out how to adapt to the real world after living in this magical, crazy world that they were in. But it also obviously has parallels to mental illness and hallucinations, which I kind of liked the play on that. This was just so good. This was my read a book in one day and read a book completely outdoors, so I pretty much just sat outside in the shade and read this from cover to cover and loved every second of it, and proceeded to immediately order I think it's a prequel. I'm not sure if it's like a companion novel. It's called Down Among the Sticks and Bones, I believe, but I think it follows the twins, which I'm very excited about, and I'm pretty sure it's a prequel of them actually in the lore. But I gave this 5 stars. I loved it. The next book I got to was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, and this is by Leslie Walton. I get it, guys. This was my hyped book challenge because this is one of like the most hyped books on Booktube and just kind of in the YA world in general. Like, this is up there with like Dante and Aristotle as far as like well-loved books go. I get it. I do. It was not even close to what I expected it to be. Based on the cover, I kind of had a lot more magical realism vibes coming from this, and based on the people who were raving about it, I just thought it was going to be very different than it was. This reads so much like an adult novel that I'm pretty sure it is now. Like, is this actually technically adult? Because it reads like a very well-rounded, not American written story where it shows the progression of the generations of women in their family, starting with her grandmother to her mother to her. And you get their full kind of like abbreviated life story, so you can kind of see where Ava comes from. And it was a lot more gruesome and macabre than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be very flowery and magical, which it was, but it was also very dark, and I really didn't expect that, especially like the whole ending. Like, I knew it was coming. We had the foreshadowing throughout the whole thing, and I'm not giving spoilers, but like the whole end scene thing, where if you've read this, you know what I'm talking about. I was just like, whoa, it went there. Like, shoot. So it was just so beautiful. I gave it 5 stars, and I get it now. And the last book that I completed was Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. This was the group book for the Bibliothon, so that was that challenge. This was also my cover by book, because look at it. Just look at it. I've wanted it for so long. It was also like an author by, because I really like Ahdieh's writing. So this, I'm gonna be completely honest, was a complete letdown. I loved The Wrath and the Dawn. The Rose and the Dagger kind of fell a little flat for me, but it was one of those things where I didn't quite know how she was gonna end it, and I don't think she really did either. But she has unbelievably atmospheric and cultural writing that is just so immersive, like you're just so in the culture. But this one seemed a little forced to me. I have mixed feelings about books that have like the italicized words that are either in another language or in a made-up language, where it has like a glossary in the back to refer to. Some books I think that works well in because it makes it feel more worldly and more real, kind of like you're actually reading real fact. And this one you are, but it seemed kind of forced to me. I feel like a lot of those words could have been woven in better. Also, I know this was being pitched as like a remake of Mulan, and I don't think it was at all. I think it was more like a samurai Robin Hood, because she definitely gets like picked up by a band of not merry men, but like it's hunter guys who were essentially trying to do the whole steal from the rich, give to the poor thing. So I think this was way closer to Robin Hood than Mulan. I feel like the only similarities were the fact that it has like an Asian culture feel and that it's a girl dressing as a guy. That's kind of where it is, and I feel like those are broad enough to not necessarily encompass the Mulan story. While I liked some aspects of this, I really liked the samurai history that she included. Again, she's just amazing at descriptive, atmospheric writing, but I feel like she lacks in character development and dialogue and just overall action, because her stories are very slow moving, which definitely gives you a full view of the setting and again, the culture, but I feel like it's not fast enough to really hold my attention through the whole thing. So I gave this 3 stars. It was like, okay. I'm probably going to continue on just because she tends to write in duologies, so I know there is only one other book coming out in the series, but I want to keep reading her just because she's very good at diverse writing in the culture aspect. So I'm very intrigued to see what like her next series is going to be, because we covered like an Arabic story, we're covering an Asian story. Where is she going next? I don't know. And then I'll get into the 2 books that I started in my like actual wrap-up video, I guess, just because it's not going to be part of the readathon. But that is it for the readathon, and I feel like this one actually worked really well for me. Readathons either go one way or the other. Like, I either really succeed at it and it gets me really pumped about reading again as like part of the community, or it puts way too much pressure on me and I just like instantly want to rebel and not read because it feels too forced. This time it was good, and I'm actually considering doing another readathon possibly this next month in August. So if any of you have any good readathons that are coming out very soon, let me know what they are, because I'm kind of looking around for them right now. There are a couple like month-long ones that I might try and do because it's less pressure to like shove everything into a limited amount of time. But that is going to be it. I hope that you guys did very well at your readathons. I've been watching a lot of your vlogs and stuff, but I've also been staying off of YouTube this week just to actually like get reading done, because YouTube is just like a black hole for me. Like, once I'm on there, I just keep going through videos. So it's been a nice break to just sit and read for an entire week. I really enjoyed myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one.